All
Yeah,
right.
it's not fun knocking on doors with mono. But yeah, I'm actually went to University of Wisconsin. Go Badgers.
Hey, all right, all right.
Not even sure there's even like a team there anymore because it was like
There might be, but I
a
can't
team
say
like popped out of nowhere and I was on the team and then like it just went away after I left.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I sold 3 summers. And it was one of those things where I didn't really have a summer job or didn't really know what to
Yeah.
do to pay for school, like most of
Yeah.
us, and put all my eggs in one basket and just decided to give it a shot. I was a biker my first summer.
Damn. What year was it?
2009.
2009. All right. So,
Yeah.
who were you working with up there? That was Weiss, right?
No, it was Force with Grant Greeter.
Yeah.
And
No
yeah, I
way.
love Grant Greeter. And
Dude.
the guy who recruited me was Scott Stilley. He did like
Okay.
6 years or so.
Dude, that's so cool because Grant was my DSM. I was the last person to work with Grant. I was
awesome.
one of the last few people. So it's a long story, but we can touch on that later. What's your time frame like for this episode looking?
I'm free.
Cool.
I usually play hockey on Thursday nights. I'm a goalie. But I decided not to go tonight because it's at like 8:30, so we can do whatever.
Bitchin'. All right, because some people they like it to be short and sweet. Other people they've got like 3 hours, 2 hours, hour and a half. We'll just kind of go until the steam runs out. It sounds like.
Sounds good.
But yeah, normally Andreas is here. He's got some other preoccupied stuff going on, so he's gonna check out the episode later. But yeah, welcome to Ponytails Podcast, episode number 15. We're about to go live, baby. Are you ready to go live?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. So how did you come across the episodes? Just through
through that Facebook group, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Uncensored Southwestern.
Oh, it's the best one.
Yeah. It's the only one to be in, really.
It's a good time. So I used to live with Isaiah Garza, who actually created this group, with Miles Ham, who I worked with this last year. So I got to see into the minds of the pro-creators of this thing. I used to work and do shit with Braxton Amundsen, who was a big proponent of these kinds of things. But it's interesting to like share such a powerful experience that has culty vibes, man. Like straight up, dude, believe it or not, I'm actually transitioning to a new solar job. I'm just gonna say this before we go live. I'm almost ready to go live, but this is on me. But I've been helping my friend Shane, who's actually a DSM for the kids here in Colorado, and he's like,
what's Shane's last name?
Shane Blick. A lot of people know the guy. But,
I know Shane Herdig.
Yeah, I used to work with Shane. Yeah, not Shane like directly, but this time I'm working with Shane Blick, the DSL here in Colorado, because I'm actually transitioning into a new solar gig. Going to be flying to Florida on February 1st, and kind of getting some stuff situated. But I'm like on this Zoom chat with Shane and some other people talking about a CRM, and there's Dustin Hillis, the CEO, and he's got this book right next to him, Redefine Possible, that he wrote with Ron Alford.
Of course he does.
Yeah,
I know. I
did this book.
The amount of times I've listened to Dustin Hillis on Sales Talks is a lot. There's a lot of hours of my life spent listening to his accent, just talking about how he's just swindling moms for the bag every day. I'm like, oh,
it's hard to say no, dude. Like the first thing I do, I hop on and I've got like a picture of my friend's dog that I'm holding as my like profile picture. And he just immediately compliments, "Oh, Nick Taverdi, I haven't like talked to you or seen you in years, but that's a really cute dog. That's like the cutest dog I've ever seen, man. What kind of dog is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a blue heeler or a red heeler or something like that." It's my friend's dog, but I digest because I just ate food.
That's funny. Yeah, dude, that's so like it's when did you sell? What years?
2013 through 2016 and almost 2017, but I got fired going into my summer. So how about yourself? You said what exactly cut you short? You're midway through your third summer?
Well, actually, I'm glad we'll talk about that a little bit, kind of why I left. But my third summer, I got mono like 10 weeks in, and like it was I tried selling like every day, but like I just would get to like 10 o'clock and be just exhausted. And it was like I was like, I don't know how I can keep doing this. So basically I just like, used what I could to help other people out, like did some shadow sessions with folks and just
Oh,
like
okay.
kind
Yeah.
of I didn't go I mean I probably should have gone home, but I just like, finished out the summer and helped because I was my third year and I was the second most experienced person on the team. So
Yeah.
try to provide as much help as I could.
Of course.
Plus, you had first years with you, so
Do
can't go
you
home.
Okay, so did you like recruit a bunch of people? How did
Nah.
your situation go? You were just kind of like that floater satellite manager that was there to help out when and
I
where
sold a lot
necessary.
of books, so they like I was just like well, I mean, I used what I learned from there to like do a lot of their stuff with sales, but like I mean, I sold a ton of books my first summer. I finished. I think it was like top 15 or something like that, but I was number one biker. Felt good about that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and then my second summer came back, had a better summer, finished like top 20. And like so I mean, I recruited like two people and they both quit the first week my second summer.
Sure, sure.
But really for me, like, I didn't do the best job of treating it like a full-time job year round. I
Yeah,
used it
so
as like
kind of hit you in the ass a little bit, didn't you?
yeah, I was like, I'm going to work my butt off all summer. All my friends are partying, so I can party with them all school year
Yeah, right.
and have enough money to do
Be a
it.
3 month superstar.
Exactly.
That's how it goes sometimes, man. So
Yeah.
you were working with the Force organization, 2.5 summers, recruited by Scott. You said what?
Yep. Scott Stilley. Yeah.
Scott Stilley. All right. And was Scott from Wisconsin up there?
No, Scott's from Nebraska.
All right.
He sold for a few summers down there in Nebraska, and then came up to Wisconsin to start a team. I think there was like 14 of us my first summer, and
Damn. All right.
I think I still talk to almost every single person who finished that summer.
Oh yeah. That's fun.
But yeah, and I remember. After I left, I kind of just like cold turkey left, so I didn't follow up too much. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So okay, so you just kind of like cold turkey left. You're not really in contact with the organization in general. You just kind of happened into this Southwestern alumni group, and we started this podcast. You caught wind of it, and maybe something inspired you to dig deep into your bag of stories, huh, and maybe bring something out that's worthwhile. Um, what are some things that you can maybe you want to start out with how you got recruited?
yeah.
Was that like just take it from wherever you want to go? Go for it.
So I was, I got recruited. So I think I just found out about it randomly, like, coming to a class and handing out flyers. And I didn't really have anything set up for the summer and kind of a little farther back too. So I grew up very poor. Like my parents couldn't help with school at all. Like
Yeah.
I did pretty well in high school. So I got some scholarships. Also, thanks Obama, got some good loans there with no interest on them.
Thanks.
And then, I just didn't know what to do to like help pay the rest of my tuition. So I heard about this job where, I started doing the math. Like, oh man, I could make like 10 grand this summer. That could pay off my debt. That'd be awesome. And then, so when I got recruited, I was like so excited. That whole remember that the waves of emotion. Yeah. So I was like, whoa, yeah, this is great. I got this cool summer job. I don't really know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm gonna like make a lot of money and it's gonna be great. And then I started telling people about it. They're like, you're gonna knock on doors, you're gonna cold call people, like a magazine, like what are you doing, man? And I fought through it. I went through the whole like hardcore culture shock of going down to Nashville and waking up at 6 a.m. and taking cold showers. And for me, I'm one of those people that always bet on myself really hard. Like I really believe in like if you just believe in yourself and bet on yourself, you can figure it out. So yeah, I just kind of went in. I think literally at the time I probably had like enough money to pay for gas to get there. Like I didn't have like anything.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So when I hit the book field, I was literally like, well, I got to figure this out because can't even pay to go home. So here we are. So, for me, like a lot of the stuff that people get upset about Southwestern, like the cultiness of like, we're going to take you out to a different state and don't go back to the HQ. And like, it actually works because,
oh man,
I stuck to that my first summer so hard. I was like, and I was literally just kind of like on an island by myself. Like, you'd be
Right.
surprised what you can accomplish when you just like, when you're on your,
Compartmentalize. That's what it is,
yeah.
man. That's like you're just like cutting off distraction. And every time I like have those interactions, like I was telling you, I was helping our friend Shane Blitt, Colorado DSM, on recruiting kids through ZipRecruiter and Indeed and all these newer ways of getting recruits. And I love being around that way of thinking because I haven't been, it's candid, right? But I haven't been as on it, like in the like productivity, doing a million things all at once sense, not since my like fourth summer, right? When I was on the book field, just running and gunning and like helping kids with delivery school and moving books and all this stuff. And it's just like, especially as like year after year, you kind of grow into like a new set of responsibilities that you oversee more things. Southwestern's truly a playground, where you really got to like understand how many layers there are to not just your own personal sales business, but also building a sales organization. Not just being an independent contractor, but maybe one day being an employee of the company because you got so many assets under you, right?
Yeah.
But I digest, right? I just ate some food, I digress, right? But anyway, um, so your first summer was walking. You were a biker, rather. Where were you selling?
So yeah, so I'll kind of go through my first summer. So
Yeah.
um, Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, about 60 miles north of Gettysburg, like area. Lower Paxton, never forget the Rams, the CD Rams. Um, and
Cool.
yeah, so basically I went out there as a walker, didn't have a bike to start. And I guess we'll start with my very first door because this is always a great story. So, and I'll share a little bit too. So, we'll get into all this, but I literally, after selling books, continued to knock on doors, but for politics. I should be wearing my Bernie Sanders hat right now
Oh,
instead,
yeah.
um, but yeah, so like, I went out there, my very first store. Not knock three times, take my 5 steps back or 3 steps back. A middle-aged woman answers the door. I forget everything and just go, "Do you have kids?" And then my manager starts laughing his ass off behind me because I was
Wow.
terrible.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Oh no, bye." He just closed the door. I'm like, on to the next house. I run.
Yep.
And then get to the next house, and ladies leaving to go take the kids out the door, like literally taking the kids out the door. And I'm like, "Oh, look at my books." I pull my book out and I'm like flipping through pages, and I'm like, she like leaves. I'm like, "Demo, one down. Let's do this." He's like, "That doesn't count." I'm like, "It totally counts. She saw the
Come on,
books."
okay. That's hilarious.
But yeah, so knocked on a few more doors with him, and he left me on my own. And after he left, I shit you not, the first door I knocked on, I sold books to a blind lady.
Bro. And they weren't even in Braille. Oh, that's
No.
great.
So
Oh,
it was the
wow.
easiest sell ever. I like knock on the door. She's blind. I do my thing. She's like, "Oh, come on in." So we come in, and she was like so blind. Literally, she's like looking at the papers like this and stuff. So apparently the year before they had bought half an Ask Me, and their son liked
Yeah.
them. So they wanted the other half of the Ask Me.
Oh,
And they
my
literally,
gosh.
they wrote me like a post-dated check for it. It was like, I did everything wrong. But I walked to the house and I'm like, "I sold books to a blind lady. I can do this."
First customer, dude.
First door after my
Yeah,
manager left.
right.
Like, I just
That's
like was how did I don't
amazing.
know what just happened.
Wow.
Um, so went about my day, drew my map, did my thing. Ended up selling books to a grandma too because she really wanted to explore and learns. And then manager met it back up with me. I think we sold like one more set of Ask Me's. And yeah, like based that first day, you kind of get back and you go back to your HQs. So also our HQ, my first summer, it was a alumni, but he lived in like the backwoods of Pennsylvania. Like you had to drive like hour and a half through all these windy roads, through all the forest, down a dirt road, and then there's this house.
Yeah.
Like hardcore Unabomber vibes, like just like a
Oh, okay.
weird dude, but he was alumni. He was cool and let us like stay at his place. So get back, debrief the day and on to the next day. And my first couple of weeks, I think I kind of started figuring out a little bit. Like, I grew up like most people, like since I was like 4 years old, I was like, I want to be a lawyer one day,
Yeah.
solely because I love to argue and get my point
Yeah.
across. And it actually kind of relates to sales as well.
Oh, very
Because
much so. Influence. Changing
yeah,
mind. Yes. Being right.
yes, exactly. And I really enjoyed the idea of like what got me going was I also played a lot of World of Warcraft in college.
Beautiful.
And for anybody who knows, you do a lot of quests in that game. And
Right.
the idea is like, you scoop them all up, you go do them, you do a big loop, you come back, gotta be efficient. So I started thinking of it like that when I would be drawing maps, and thinking of it like less of like I need to sell people, more of I just need to find buyers and be really efficient with this map. And like that kind of really got things going. I figured it out. So I think it was like week 3, I finally got a bike. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So it
We're
took you a
mobile
while.
now. Oh yeah, I was walking. Like I went through.
Let me paint a scene real quick, because I'm curious about these details in particular. This was in 2009. You were in outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. You were on foot for the first few weeks. Were you living with your manager?
Yeah. So it was me, my manager, and then my buddy Ben Itzikowski, who I still talk to.
Hey, no way. I actually talked to Ben Itzikowski, and it's particularly about politics, but let's save that for another time, right? Different podcast. That's awesome. So it was you 3, and you were just like, okay, I'll get a bike now. It's your 3rd week. And you were selling, was it volume libraries then in 2000?
Yep. So I was VLs. Yep.
Oh man. Yeah, I picked up. I was selling only the Southwestern Advantage, the swag set.
The swag, yep.
You eventually sold those, didn't you?
My last summer we were selling swag, yeah.
Yeah. So I actually picked up like old handbooks and old volume libraries, like when knocking on doors, and there were like old people like, I actually have some upstairs. Do you want them? We don't use them. All right, hell yeah, those are awesome. I don't remember what I did with them. I think they're at my dad's house. But
dude, someone gave me a 1984 volume library my first summer.
Dude,
I knocked like $50 off the cost of their books, and just like during deliveries, they're like, "Do you want this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want this."
That's awesome. Oh yeah. Cool, man. So, what were some of the crazy things that happened once you got that bike? Was it like your whole summer changed and picked up? And
I'd like to say yes, but no. that was my first of 5 bikes. So like,
all right,
like I didn't realize. So one thing that if you went to look at a topographical map of Lower Paxton, it's like a nice little valley by a river, and then a big ass mountain is the other half of the city. So like I literally like, I don't know, probably week 5 or 6, I'm on my 3rd bike. I remember biking up this hill and literally just like chain snaps, but like I'm just like pedaling nowhere, and I didn't know what to do. And it's like early in the day, so I said screw it, threw it behind a dumpster of a 7-Eleven, went on and like not asked every person for a bike, and then like the 5th person was like, I got a bike for you, got a new bike, moved on.
That's how you do it, man. You just roll with the punches.
Yeah. The what is it? The answer is always behind the next door.
Oh, that's such a classic, man. Oh man. So, okay, that first summer you wound up being like number 15 in the whole world. Was that right?
First years.
Gotcha. Out of all, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I made Sizzler. I got to go to the Phoenix VIP meeting. And
Camelback Mountain, right?
Yeah, actually, fun story about that for everybody. So I got really drunk the night before, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. I made it about halfway up, threw up on Camelback Mountain, and legit some parent looked at their 6-year-old and were like, see honey, that's why we don't drink before we climb the mountain. And I was like, oh God, I'm an example.
Nice.
But yeah, so my first summer, like, I was doing well. Like I was probably averaging like 250, 300 a week for quite a while. And like, I really started to figure stuff out. And, honestly, like what I would do is like, so this isn't good, obviously, but a lot of times I stop the day early and I listen to like Dustin Hillis, or I'd listen to, sales talks by different people, and like, just so I could like pick up stuff in the day. And my first summer, like, I know it's like, work hard first, but let's be real. I did 37 demos a day my first summer, and like on a bike, like I was hustling. So, I'd always like kind of would do that end of the day. And, eventually the summer picks up, and I know week 11 was the week I hit PC my first summer.
Nice.
When I finally hit Big Brick, it was the best because like
Yeah,
I think one
drop
of the
bombs.
oh yeah, one of the first stores I like that was probably my favorite week of all selling books, and not because I mean PC was cool, but
Yeah.
the way I sold people, like rich people buy anything. Like I literally told a lady one time, well, Susie got them, and she's like, well, what are those? She like buy it to her house. She goes, do you take card? I'm like, yeah. Done. 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Like I was like, I didn't do
Awesome.
anything.
That's how certain parts of Massachusetts were, but I cannot say that I had that as a regular experience. So
it also did help too that I didn't realize it, but like it's always happens too. Like your first or second summer, you'll sell to someone who you don't realize is a big deal, and then you'll like,
yeah.
It was like the fourth grade teacher, and this neighborhood happened to be like all like 10-year-old, 11-year-old kids, so they all knew that teacher, and they're like, oh, like Mr. Whatever got him, and I was like, yeah,
that's awesome. So that was your first summer, and you finished pretty strong. It sounds like. Where'd you go to Sizzler that year?
That year was, oh, that's right. That year was Cancun. Second year was Jamaica.
Love Cancun. Yeah, Coca Bongo, all that.
Oh yeah, I did dance on the tables, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. We went to a club called or a resort called Oasis, the Grand Oasis, and that was just awesome. Coca Bongo for sure. Got to check it off the list. Did you go to? Did you just say you went to Chichen Itza?
No, the second summer was Jamaica.
Okay, but Chichen Itza is like the pyramid in Mexico. That's like 40 miles outside of Cancun.
Did we go to that? Honestly, my first
I didn't do that excursion.
Blur. It's a big blur. My first Sizzler.
Fair, totally fair. That was 12 years ago now. Damn, dude.
Yeah.
2021. We're here now. But all right.
Yeah.
And you just had a great first summer. You didn't really recruit. You said you recruited 2 people that quit going into that second summer.
Yeah, so I recruited my girlfriend was one of them.
Oh no.
Yeah, that definitely ruined the relationship when she quit. We lasted like one more year, but I was like, what else are you gonna quit on?
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, I honestly like that's probably the one if I had a regret for the summers, like, you know, I went all in, both feet in, jump in the cold water for selling, but I didn't do the same for recruiting. Like I feel like once I kind of got that threshold back into like college life where we're like partying and all that kind of stuff, like I definitely tried. Like I tried recruiting a lot of people after my first summer, and I just kind of like didn't have that same resilience about it. Which, you know, it's definitely like, I wish honestly, if I had done that more, it probably would have made me stick around a lot longer, obviously. But for me, it was like, you know, coming from where I grew up and like that transition phase, like I was out at 18, like moved out, gone. And I get to like college, it was like, you know, trying to figure out myself. So this is a really cool opportunity for me to kind of just be alone for 13 hours a day and really get to know a lot about yourself. And
and about other people of all different races and socioeconomic backgrounds, for sure. Now, I don't think I got this from you. Where are you from originally? You went to school in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from California. So I moved around a lot as a kid, not because of military. We just, you know, had to move and stuff. So I lived in started in California, moved to Rifle, Colorado, then moved out to Michigan, Roseville. And then I moved out to Massachusetts, right outside of Worcester, which actually I sold my second summer outside of Worcester.
Whoa,
that's how you know. That's how you know.
That's where I sold my first and second summers.
Where there? Where Worcester?
So my first summer I sold in like Sutton, Douglas, like South Worcester County. I lived in right outside Uxbridge, if you know that area.
Okay, yeah.
Sturbridge, maybe, but
Sturbridge.
Yeah,
I was like north, probably like north east of you. I was up by like I was just north of Worcester, up in like
Fitchburg, Leominster.
West something was a really good town I had.
It's Westminster, dude. That's where I was my second summer.
My buddy, who I still my good buddy now, he sold in Shrewsbury. Okay. So right around there. Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because I lived there before. So I came back because I knew it was called Worcester. People were like, oh, okay. Like you do know.
Worcester County.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so as a kid, after I lived in Massachusetts, we moved back out to California, and then we
All right.
landed in Wisconsin when I was 14. So I always love to say my fun fact is my last name's Cox, and I was the new kid 18 times by the time I was 14 years old. So
Dude.
like first impressions, like I was the perfect recruit for this. I'm like, oh, first impressions, people be mean to me, like who cares?
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Dude, my last name right here, a lot of people like to mispronounce it and think that that V is a U, but no, no, we're TV ready, no vowels. Can't afford vowels, man. We were asked if we would like to buy a vowel, but we moved all the way from Czechoslovakia. You know, we couldn't
How many moms heard that joke?
every single one. No, but
Oh,
I've got a
actually,
whole
that
bag of them for sure. When they're
did you
writing
have
my
like
name on their checks, so
yeah? Did you have like your go-to like leave the door joke? Because I had a go-to one.
I had more than one go-to. I have a catalog, bro.
Oh man, I use the same one every time because it
What's
makes me
yours?
laugh so much. I'd be like, "Hey, do you know how many ADD kids it takes to change a light bulb?" They'd be like,
I don't know how many.
"Well, see you later," and I just leave. And they'd be like, "Wait, oh!"
That's awesome. Yeah, mine that I think I used the most was why didn't the lifeguard save the hippie?
Why?
Because he was too far out, man. Yeah, so the recent one that I've been using is would you like to hear a joke about a ghost?
Sure.
That's the spirit. And typically that's when you're leaving, right? That's
Right.
oh, ghost, bye. Anyway,
Uh,
dad jokes.
they work
Selling
though.
books.
Yeah,
Good
dad
time.
jokes. Dad jokes made me a lot of money in college. Like it's on books. Like
Me too. It helped me with my attitude, man. My first summer, I was in Massachusetts, and they call themselves massholes for a reason. Especially my second summer, like it was just all in Worcester County that first and second summer, and so I definitely had to like change who I am. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a little bit more like slow and gentle and like care about your feelings. People over there are like, no, get to the point. Come on, what are you doing? Let's go. And they care about their kids' education just as much as I do. And it was the jokes that made me stay sane there. When I could tell a dad with a receding hairline, and I already spoiled the punchline here, but what do you call a line of rabbits that hop backwards together? A receding hairline, because they're pissing me off and I want to like just like diffuse the bomb and like run away as it blows up at the same time. So not really diffuse it. But that was just like how I just loved running throughout Massachusetts where you don't really see the sky as much, you know, it's wooded, it's kind of scary at night, you know, and you're driving around these cattle roads that are all spread out and not in a grid whatsoever. It sucked, but I loved it because of dad jokes. So,
yeah, seriously.
and the views and a lot of other things, but yeah.
No, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, man, after that first summer though, like that feeling when you came back, like, you get back to Nashville and you're
Oh yeah.
like, dude, that was like the best. Like you go, like, you're like,
Got
I
that
like,
big incline at the big
yeah.
driveway, and you gotta like scrape the bottom of your car as you go up the incline. Oh man, oh, at least I made money. I can pay for it. That maybe low expenses.
Yeah, I legit bought a car on the book field to do deliveries my
Yep,
first summer. Cause
nice.
like I was like,
Yeah,
well,
because
I
you're a
mean,
biker.
I was a biker. I was like, well, I'm not gonna rent a car. I'm just gonna buy one. So I just like found this like '89 Buick Century, like American made like luxury with the cigarette things on the side and all that.
Yeah,
And
that's
like that
awesome.
was just my book car. And then that car made it all year, made it back to the book field and lasted 2 weeks because a rock skipped up and hit the oil pump and like literally like destroyed the car.
Dude, damn. All right, that takes some sort of skill, right?
Yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, so it's like, it's funny because, a lot of everything I learned at Southwestern, I use all the time. Like,
Yeah.
now that it's been 10 years since I sold books, like, my career's taken me where I worked in politics for like 3.5 years, got to travel the country, got to like knock on a lot of doors, do a lot of canvassing, like, um, and it came so natural because I was just so used to being told no so many times.
Right.
And then,
Yeah.
took that over to, I actually just left I used to Quicken Loans for 6 years here in
Okay.
Detroit and worked my way up. I started like, right in it's actually funny. So I started on the phones at Quicken, and like, I wasn't doing mortgages. I was doing transferring people to mortgages. So all I had to do was convince people to hear us out. And I literally set the records in the company because I was like, this is so easy. like,
People to hear us
like,
out. You're just asking for a place to sit down, man.
yeah, it was so like, it was an approach. It was all it was. I was like,
Exactly.
throwing the draws in there for the people in the South for calling, all that kind of stuff.
Beautiful. That's awesome,
Uh,
dude.
but yeah, it's like crazy. Like, I actually eventually like ended up leading a team there. I had like a 40-person team,
Damn.
and to this day, the one thing I try to instill in their heads every single day is you can control three things. You control how hard you work.
Yep.
Oh yeah, attitude is the
Your
most important one. That's always gonna be last.
Okay, right. Hours, numbers, the effort you put in, the hours you work, and your attitude, right?
Yeah, I'd always tweak it a little bit because we're on the phones, and I would say how hard you work, what you say to people, and most importantly, your attitude.
Wow.
And I explain to people all the time, if you're not getting your message across, you can't control how that person receives the message. All you can do is control, what you do with that message. So
Absolutely.
you gotta change it up.
Got a visitor there, I can tell.
Yeah, there's got a pups and a couple friends. We just got a puppy like 4 weeks ago, so
nice.
Everyone's
kind.
Got a German Shepherd lad. Her name's Nix. She's super cute.
Can you like huddle her?
Yeah,
bring her on the camera?
I'll get her right now.
Please. Yes. All right, everybody who may or may not be listening, get ready for this dog. German Shepherd named Nix. We have no live viewers. This is awesome. People on YouTube, we appreciate you tuning in, and we appreciate loyal viewers. This is awesome. We got a form of a puppy.
No. The other dog's here, so this won't last long, but this is Nix. Say hi, Nix.
What's up, Nix?
She's 12 weeks old.
She's so dark.
Yeah, she's super smart. She already knows rollover and okay, go.
Just 12 weeks old. Wow.
Yeah, well, actually, my wife's been like researching all kinds of stuff about dogs and how to train them. So she got rollover down. You can say different words to release her, and she doesn't release until the right word. Like, I think we got a good one. But she's a biter though, so we gotta get through that.
She's a biter, yeah.
Yeah.
Get ropes. Ropes for your friends, not just plastic chew toys, but ropes in particular.
Yeah, we've been using taking a washcloth and wetting it or freezing it.
Yeah,
like she's all about that life.
I love that. All right, you're teaching me things. Love it. That's cool, man. So you've been living there in Detroit for how long exactly?
I moved here in 2014, so it'll be 7 years this year.
That's crazy.
And yeah, I always like to say, like, very similar to the book world. I moved here with legit like $1 to my name. I chased a girl out here, and yeah, we broke up a year in, so I had to figure that out too. That did not last either, but
you were no stranger to that part of the country, though. Did you ever live in Michigan before that, or first?
So I lived here when I was a little kid for about 5 years, and then I have a few family members out here. I have like some aunts and uncles, but I moved out here like we lived at her dad's house for a little while, and then I basically I moved. So we broke up. I had nowhere to go, so I moved into my buddy's house and literally put my bed in his kitchen so I could like reach over and grab a beer out of the fridge, like it was that close. And yeah, just kind of figured it out from there. But I'm proud to say, yeah, I found somebody else almost 4 years ago. We're married now, got ourselves a house and a couple cats and sure kids eventually. So things are going well.
Yeah, you're a Democrat. You're a left-leaning fellow. Of course you love cats. Me too.
I am a card-carrying member of the Democratic Social America. So yes,
there you go.
I am a lefty.
Yeah, me too. I don't have any cards to say about it. It's interesting, this political climate, because you can see within book people, there's like a very staunch divide. I feel like there's people who are just totally right-wing and totally like they're left wing, vote Democrat every single time, and talk loudly about it. This was interesting that someone talked about in the Uncensored group a while back. Is like, do you think that knocking on doors, because it's very Republican, right? Running your own business and like pulling yourself by your bootstraps, working on commission, 80 hours a week, bleed your face off because you're grinding so hard. And then you're like exposed to all these other people who have their own working conditions and they're underpaid and they have no mobility in terms of like their pay structure because they're not breadwinners or hunters that go and get the food like a salesperson. Like there's so many analogies for how it all plays out. But when you get exposed to that much society, how does it shape a person? Like you seem to have really gone into that, going back into doors, particularly politically. um but can you see how it might make someone be a little
Yeah.
less like share your thoughts? I'm curious.
I'm actually glad you brought this up because I've actually like had some pretty cool conversations with people about this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people are like, oh, my favorite thing is you're brainwashed by the news. You just watch mainstream media. You hear that a lot. As like on both side attacks, right? Like the propaganda on both sides. But literally my views, my political views, come from my experience, like knocking on doors and selling books.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right. Like we talked to people that were the richest of the rich, like live on the goddamn biggest house on the top of the mountain, to like the single mom who had to put zero down and is going to scrape
Yeah.
every penny she can because she just wants her kid to do better. Like, and what I really learned, like, is it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't like that. There's no difference to people in terms of what they're really focused on in life, which is just giving their kids a better life than they had. And like, that's probably why I got good at sales eventually, because I kind of was able to tap into those kind of questions with people. But, it's also like something you learn a lot from people. Like, I will like, I'll never forget this family. So, every year find a service family, right? Like, that was kind of the idea, like give one family a set of books. And my first summer, I didn't really know about that, but I mean, I just kind of did it. Like I met this family, poor part of town, right? So remember I told you my good summer, my good week was like big brick, top of
Oh
the
yeah.
like mansions, right? This guy,
Right.
at least it was a grandma and grandpa raising their like 5-year-old grandson because their kids died in a car accident, right? So already like, they're in,
Emotional.
it's a trailer park area, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And like, so we sat down and having like a really long conversation with them. They were just like good people, and just put zero down and come back. And I remember like, I'm doing deliveries. I'm in my delivery mode, trying to add on as much as I can, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Like, and him and I remember when I left, because like I was honestly worried they weren't going to pay for it. Like when I sold him the books, I was a different person when I delivered the books. Like I probably sold them in week 3, and when I came
Yeah,
back week
I know
12, I
that
was
feeling.
yeah, I was a different person. And like, I was so like, when I sold the books, I was so worried he couldn't actually afford them, that I made him like almost like promise me like he's gonna like save up all summer and actually be responsible and take his, I in my brain at that time, I was like, you can really use these. Like you're worried about first grade math. Like there's so many more years to come. Like you just have this resource. And I came back and like we sat down. Of course, he had that look on his face, and he's like, Cordell, we stayed up all summer, but we had a medical emergency and I don't have it. Just looked at him, was like, can you promise me one thing? He's like, what? I'm like, gonna use them? He's like, oh yeah, I'd use these. I'm like, I'm out of here. Take them. They're yours. And like, just that it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it cost me a little money, like whatever. But like, it doesn't matter. It's more about like,
The
I
humanity
really
of it
believe they
all.
actually use them, and like
Yeah.
that kind of like mindset is where I go with a lot of my politics. Like people, oh, you're gonna pay more taxes. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Like they're gonna help people. Like if I know they're gonna help people, I'm okay with losing a little bit of mine because I got mine. There's a great quote I always use. It's like, hustle until you don't need to hustle anymore, and then keep on hustling to help those still struggling. Like you got to build those bridges. You got to find ways, because I'll keep bringing it up. Like I grew up, like it was not easy. Like we use food stamps. I got free lunch at school, all those kind of things. And like, if that didn't exist, I would have not been able to focus on school. I would have had to focus my time on where's my next meal coming from. And like that matters, because I guarantee there's a lot more kids like me who have ambition, have goals, want to get to break the cycle and get out of that. And like, but they were way worse off than I was. You know what I mean? Like they started off even worse. So why don't we try to raise up the bottom? And it's I'm going a long time about politics, but like at the end of the day, like the book field really taught you like to just like interact with people as people and stop seeing people as like large demographics or like just ways to exploit and make money out of them. It was really like, how can I help people along this way? And
Yeah,
like,
the ethics is huge. The integrity of it all, the actually getting to know people and like figuring out and saying this will help you in this way. And if they ask, will it help in this way, and it doesn't, you should have the wherewithal to say no, it won't. And being willing to walk away from a sale because there's plenty other people out there. Um, there's so much to be said about all those principles of hardcore business work ethic, like grind your face off. I don't think I would be the same person that I am. I definitely have a skill set that rivals most of the professionals that I've worked with. The sad thing is like I've bounced around in my career, so I haven't like grown my roots in one place and built, say, a 40-person organization like you did with Quicken Loans. Like I'm telling you at the start of this, I'm actually transitioning into a new solar job after being in life insurance for a little while. I was successful at that. That was nice. They just weren't compensating me well. But it's kind of cool the mind that you're able to develop to pivot away from politics, right? Because that's always a fun set of conversations. But um, it's hard to detach the experience of selling books from your career, from your political leanings, from your relationships, how they play out in your daily life, your friendships, those old ones that you spark up. Like, I've never met you, bro, but
yeah,
we're able to just shoot the breeze and speak the same language. And we both know the same people: Grant Greeters,
yeah,
Queen Hertig, Yvette,
hell yeah,
Yvette
that.
Easter. It's awesome, man. Like all the legendaries. So it's fun, man. So what do you think about like the state of the Southwestern Union now? Have you been plugged in any way? Have you been paying attention from afar?
No, so I mean, getting mom on my third summer didn't help, but I left because and it's actually kind of lines we're talking about just now. I didn't feel myself aligned with the culture. Like,
Okay.
I remember asking, I won't mention names, a couple like people who are a lot better than me, like, hey, what can I do to better? And they told me like, I need to pray in the morning. And like, it kind of got to that point where it was like walking a conservative line that I wasn't comfortable with. And like, I was
Yeah.
just, worried in a sense that if I like got sucked in, I might lose who I was as a person. So I kind of walked away. But I've kept in touch with I've kept in touch more with the friendships, all the people that
Of course.
I'm still talking to. But in terms of the organization, like no, I mean I definitely bought a cookbook a few years ago when I ran into a bookhead. Don't get me wrong. And I'm also like, if someone knocks on our door, I'm like, my wife's like, "Can you get it?" I'm like, "I'm gonna buy something." Like legit, like the roof I just got today, door-to-door salesman.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When
I'm such a sucker for it now.
it's understanding the value, the true value of sweat equity,
Yeah.
and recognizing that there's so much that could be said about all these hourly wages, like $15 an hour. Like, I love pushing for things like that, but all that pales in comparison to the people of the world who are willing, able, and capable, right? And at getting better at just selling things, providing a service, doing so with integrity in the way that we've learned it is, to me, crucial. I hate going into life insurance, spending time with people who've been there for a dozen years, and they're like, yeah, we're just going to talk about like our closing ratios are 30%, when in reality it's like 17%, and the numbers don't work out. They don't pan out in the way that they're supposed to, and they're just kind of, fudging numbers a little bit. Um, it makes me kind of sick a little bit. And I think it's because of that core of integrity that you do develop when, I remember Virgie Sanford, right? Virgie,
Yeah.
she
Another
gives the
name.
success coin speech
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
sales school. And she also gave a speech during sales school to the managers, like before my second summer, where she was just like, or maybe my third summer, it was something along the lines of, you shouldn't lie even about like the qualities of the product that the customer wants. You could easily lie and say, yeah, this will help out with your vocabulary in Spanish. No, it only helps out with declensions and denominations. Like, don't lie, right? Otherwise, that feeling that you get of being ashamed of being a bookman or a book girl, and running a business, you kind of like feel scummy when you're knocking on doors late at night. It's because you're lying to people in little ways. Your integrity is not true. It gives this
Yeah.
presentation, but it's got something hollow on the inside. And that's something that I've like when I heard that, because I had seen plenty of examples of salespeople that would just lie a little bit. Oh, the average first year makes this much or whatever. There's ways that it does happen systemically through a company like Southwestern, through a company for life insurance, or Quicken Loans, whatever it
Yeah.
may
Quicken.
be,
Yeah.
right? It's all in the name of the game of just like run those profits, make that money. But I want to be radical about it. I want to, aim for an ironclad, like Knights of the Templar type of, integrity. But we're
Yeah.
all human. I've lied before, and it sucks, man. I don't try to, like when I do, I feel the pain, and I try to minimize that by not lying anymore. And this is definitely going on like a lot of different like conversational
Yeah.
pathways, but it's interesting how core of a principle you learn integrity and truth telling to be, because you're just in the fishbowl that is selling books door to door and recruiting people and all that, people
Yeah.
find
And
out.
no, you're 100% right too. And like, that was funny. I just think about like, you know, I always made sure to have hardcore integrity when selling books. That way I felt less bad when I was totally fucking with people in the book field.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember who said it, but someone was like,
That's
my
awesome.
permit, the permit they give you is my
Yeah.
permit to mess with people. And I'm
Oh,
like, oh, this
you
is
were
great.
messing with people on doors. That's awesome. I love
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
What were you doing at
Uh,
the time?
so one of my, I mean, I got a ton of stories, we'll definitely share them, but like one of my favorite stories to start off with. So my buddy, Eric Minkley, he was selling his first year, probably like third or fourth week. He's following me my second summer. And I was having a shit day, like nothing. Like it's like 3, like 0. I'm like, great. So I was like, let's mix it up. So everyone kept telling me this guy was mean in the block. And I was like, all right. So I knock on his door and I'm like, let's try it. So I started doing the push-ups and having him count behind
Yeah.
me. And he's like, 998, 999. And he's like, the guy opens the door just staring at me. He's like, get the fuck off my property. And I'm like, have a good day. And I just run away. And like literally like 2 houses later, like I drive this driveway. Some lady's like, you can't be on my property, I'll shoot you. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you can't just shoot me. She's like, get out of here. And I'm like, okay, bye. Jump in the car and leave. Like, but I found out later, actually, that day actually, and I ended up having over 200 units that day because I found out that everyone on the rest of that street hated those 2 people so much because they were running an illegal trucking company in that lady's area, and they had a bunch of kids in the street. So all these moms were like, I'm like, oh yeah, I love being here. Everyone's super nice to me, except for that lady. And they'd be like, oh yeah, we hate her. What do you sell? What's going on? And
That's
like,
awesome.
I just racked him up the rest of the day. And I was like, man, that turned out
Wow.
quickly.
That's awesome. All right. So that
Oh
was
yeah,
your second or third summer?
second summer.
Second summer messing. So what were some other ways that you messed with people? Especially like as a manager, did you get the first years involved in any certain ways?
Yeah. So, your first summer, you're not that good at pre-approach. So like, you're like, knocking on every old person's door because
Yeah.
you're not good at like
Yeah.
at giving to get and that kind of stuff. So definitely did a bunch of squirrel surveys, did a lot of those to
Classic.
old ladies. Just the classic, like, what kind of squirrels you seeing around here. Um, and also this is like something a little different. I think I told you in text earlier, but I also love selling the Ebony Black America books during deliveries.
You set a record.
So
You set a record, didn't you?
with like 3,
Okay. All right.
like,
So
like
tell me more. Bring the
yeah,
context for the audience.
yeah. So I found out through Scott Stilly because he had sold some of them, and he found this just as funny too. Was there's these 1970, you had a special order it from the warehouse, like these like black and white Ebony Black America books, and the whole pitch was that they cover all the stuff not covered normal textbooks, right? Because we all know that our textbooks are written to erase things like the Tulsa Massacre and things like that. So it had that stuff in it. So
That's cool.
I found it amazing to always pitch it to everybody like everybody, because I thought this was like something you probably should teach your kids. And I would approach it like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I sold a few of them. But the best part was these rich ass white people being like, no, we don't need that. No, we're good.
The fact that you would like tee people up for that, that's so
I would tee them up. It was so
great. Wow. That's
but yeah, I mean, like, it was so, I mean, there was, I guess, also ways too of like, I was also one of we would make sure to get our permits, that kind of stuff. Like, I'll never forget, like, I think it was my second summer. Oh, West Boylston. That was the town. West Boylston, my second summer.
All right.
I thought it was not Westminster.
Okay, gotcha. They're in Massachusetts. Gotcha.
Yeah, Massachusetts. Sorry. So I like met the police chief, got my permit, go knocking on doors, knocked on the wrong person's door, called the cops. I'm literally on a lady's door doing a Porsche demo, and she's like down, like ready to buy. A cop pulls up, literally puts me on his car. He's like, "You've been messing with people out here. You're going to jail, blah, blah, blah." And then the motherfucking police chief rolls up and is like, "Oh, is that Cordell?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh no, he's good, but he can't." Like, he's like, "Do you ever knock on people's door that say no?" I'm like, "That's a waste of time." He was like, "No, you're fine." And lady ended up buying, actually, which is kind of cool. She's like, "Can you give them to me tomorrow though?" I'm like, "Yeah, I give you tomorrow. I just gotta I'll get the books on the car tomorrow." Like the early deliveries. But yeah, it's actually like, that kind of stuff too. Like, I was sharing my buddy Neil. So my buddy Neil is he knocked on doors in Shrewsbury my second summer. Now one of my best friends in the world. Like, literally, dude didn't sell anything for his first like week, 2 weeks, ready to quit, and then put up like a 200 day on a Saturday and
wow,
the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. So I picked him up.
Yeah, all right. That's fun.
But Neil legit got the cops called on him so much that he started selling the cops. Like, almost every cop had all the kids' books. He sold all the kids' books to all these cops. And they show up, be like,
"I guess you haven't heard about me yet." "Oh, you have? Your buddy got it too, didn't he? Go get your checkbook."
Dude, and actually Neil taught me a lot of like cultural stuff too. So I used to really struggle with this. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, I struggle with different cultures. Like, if I got into, an Asian family store or like a Muslim family store, like, I didn't know how to talk to them, honestly.
Right.
And they'd always let me in because education, I never sold them all. And he would teach me all these things like about his culture that I could use. And like, it was like really cool to learn those kind of things. Now living in like Detroit, I have lots of friends in Dearborn. Like, it's still like a really strong thing that I'm glad I learned then. Cause like, it's just always interesting things. Again, you just like don't even like think about like growing up, and then like you turn into an adult, you're like, oh wait, people don't all do this. Like, it's like learning as an adult, which I did, that not everyone can whistle. I literally thought everybody could whistle, and then I was like, wait, I had a girlfriend. I'm like, you can't whistle? I thought everybody. What's going on?
Yeah. For me, when you bring that kind of stuff up, I know a lot about mascots. So Grant Greeter, speaking of that dude, he was always big on teaching during some meetings. Like, all right, do you know the names of your school mascot? Like, for the middle school, the high school, and all the colleges that they go to. And when you walk in and you sit down with a 7th grader, you got to be like, "Oh, there's the coolest Spartan in the school district." I don't know, but like, you just got to pay attention to that kind of stuff and enter other people's worlds through things that they think only they know, right? Because if someone's like knows I went to high school and college at Creighton University and the Creighton Prep School, it's like they could just talk about Blue Jays, and I'd be like, "Hey, you kind of know my world." And so that's something that I just like blow people's brains when I can rattle off basically like all of the college mascots, bro. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Go Badgers. No, not really. I'm a Huskers fan. So you guys
go Badgers. No. Go Badgers.
Wisconsin, whatever.
We're not good at basketball again this year. I'm also a Packers fan too, so
hey, Chiefs fan. I'm wearing my sweatpants.
Man, I want to play you guys. We gotta get past Tom Brady. He's somehow gonna cheat. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but he's gonna cheat somehow. Beat him. We can play Pat Mahomes. I'm happy with that.
Hey, I'm nervous about Bills. I don't want to sleep on those dudes either. So either way, it's gonna be a good matchup, even if the Bills and the Bucks win. But I also want the Chiefs and the Packers. Go Chiefs! Go Chiefs! Go Chiefs! Go Chiefs!
I'm kind of bitter though, because Pat Mahomes was doing great for my fantasy team, but I lost in the first round of the playoffs because someone decided to throw 4 interceptions against the Miami Dolphins, and I lost by less than 2. Yeah,
Yikes.
I'm bitter.
Be mad. Be very mad. He's just gonna laugh his way
Okay,
to the bank
to
with
half a million,
half a billion
half
dollars.
a billion dollars.
Crazy. So that being said,
Pay
what
him in
else is there to
Bitcoin.
talk about? Do you have any stories that you like premeditated on when like we set this up like 2 weeks ago? I feel like.
Yeah.
What you thinking about?
Yeah. So what's the next thing I want to talk about? So many things that from doing this. It's like weird because I don't have anybody. I mean, I have my friends I talked to that sold books before, but like no, my like immediate life sold books. So it's like weird to let it all out.
Talk
You know what
about
I mean?
it.
Wasn't it? Dead air.
No, we love being live with Dead Air. There's no viewers right now. Anyone watching this is on YouTube and maybe Spotify. So thanks.
What up, y'all? Sorry for the dead air. Trying to think of some stuff to talk about. There's so much.
Dead air, no. Well, there's so many things to talk about in general. Do you have like any favorite follow days that you learned a lot, or like maybe you guys did something funny? Like I could talk about some silly things myself. It looks like you're thinking of some things. Do you want to think a little bit longer?
Man, shadow days. Those are like, you're like, especially to get like second, third summer, and you're like, man, I'm having a rough couple of days. Like, time for a shadow day.
Oh yeah.
I'll take 1 more 0. We're good to go.
Right.
And like, I remember one of my favorite shadow days ever. I was in Massachusetts. I drove up to Kennebunkport in Maine to go shadow Shannon McCoy.
Okay.
And Shannon, like, the day ended with his car breaking down in the parking lot. We had to like go find somebody, and then like that person was really mean to us, so I ended up jumping our car. But anyways, like that was just like a really cool day because he was somebody that at that time I was really struggling with like objections. I don't know, for some reason, for like a summer and a half, I just never objected. I just had this, like I told you earlier, I had this idea of like, I'm going to find all the buyers.
To the objections. Yeah.
Yeah. Never respond to objections. Yeah.
Right.
So like, it's funny is like, it went from, I'm going to find all the buyers to I'm going to try to find all the nurses. Cause we all know nurses always buy. And
easy to deduce that. You just got to catch them when they're not asleep and going to kill you for waking them up.
But yeah,
in the afternoon.
So I had this like mindset of like, I'm just gonna be quick in out. Like I said, 37 demos a day. At that time, it's probably like, 12 to 15, maybe 13 sit downs, like nothing crazy. But he really taught me to like take my time, slow down. He actually like had this like method of like, he would really lean back on his approaches, and then he would never not like go after the objection, and I would respond to the objection. And like, that taking that away, like really just helped me to go from there. Cause at that time, so kind of funny. So my first summer I went through 5 bikes. My second summer, I legit went through 5 cars. Oh man, this actually is a good tangent. This is a great tangent actually on these cars I get into. So I just lost my second car. So I was in like in the shitter, like in my mindset. And it really kind of helped me like refocus me down and really helped me finish strong that summer. I did my second summer, I beat my first summer by like maybe 600 units, something like that. But it was one of the summers where it's like you go through every bit of adversity you feel like you can, probably not true, but the things that you feel at the time. And like, you still come out on top and feel more successful. So these motherfucking cars. So first car, like I told you, was the book car from the year before. Brought it out 2 weeks in, breaks. I'm like, okay, no problem. Luckily, a manager came out just to sell for a few weeks, and she went back home and she just had a book vehicle, gave it to me. Great. I was dumb, didn't realize I needed an oil change, blew. like 4th day driving it, like engine blows on the side of the highway. And I'm like, great. So
that was car number 3 at that point, or 4 or 5?
That is car number 2.
Oh, okay.
Car number 3 was a rental car. And I was so I was 20, not even 21 at the time. So I like went to this like drove down to like Rhode Island or Connecticut, whatever,
That
one
would
of
be
those states have
sketchy
like
about it.
laxer laws on like
Yeah.
renting cars. Drove
Yeah.
in there, got myself like a old Ford Taurus, and that car ended with I crashed it into my host mom, like into her car.
Oh, I thought you were saying like into her person.
No,
Like,
into her car, like
yeah.
while we were driving.
Yeah.
So
Oof.
that was a bad day. So literally we were driving. I like just either wasn't paying attention. I don't know what happened, but like all the traffic stopped. I didn't stop in time, hit her hard enough to hit her into another car. And I felt so bad because that
That's
was
a 3-car wreck right there.
yeah. So I felt terrible because the only reason we were even in her home is because we knocked on her door and she like let us stay in the other half of her house. That's when we found our house or HQ the second summer.
You're big fuck up, Ron. You done
Yeah, I
fucked
messed up. Fourth car. Fourth car. So I get a car. I like buy another book car, like $500. Didn't know how to inspect cars very well because the back suspension snapped in half. Like literally it was rusted and broke. So I was like, oh, well, that car's done. Finally ended up with a Jeep at the end of the summer and was able to ride it out through that. But yeah, that was lots of up and downs and dealing with the good, like I basically remember at one point in the summer, I was like, I should just bike again. Like, why did I even do this? Like, I'm just like, it was nice to go carry books around and sell them out of your back of your car, just like hawk over people. But man, that was expensive to have to buy 3 cars in the book field.
And your check was like $109 as a result at the end of the
summer? I brought home money, man. I was good at like just eating only. I'd treat yourself. You have a peanut butter jelly sandwich, start the day, and then you get that ham and a little bit of mayo and cheese later. Oh yeah, that was like the treat for me that second summer.
There you go. Because you could actually store it in your car and
exactly
all that. All right. So anyway, you sold from 2009 through 11-ish, and got mono that third summer. Do you want to talk about that? Was that anything eventful?
It was, I mean, if anything, it was just tough. Like, it was one of that was a really down period. Honestly, that like put me in a really bad spot probably for like a good 6 months after that. It's actually, so
my little brother had something similar. Was it like in the middle of the summer you developed the symptoms? Where were you selling that summer?
Yeah, so it was the summer before my senior year of college. About 8-9 weeks in, I wasn't feeling good. And like I went to the doctor and like, oh yeah, you have mono. So I just had to next almost 3 months. It was just like I was able to get out sometimes, able to do a little bit, but really I was just stuck in my HQ, which it felt terrible because not only did I let down, I feel like I was let down my organization, my first years, all that kind of stuff, but even more than that, my host family were awesome. There were people who had bought books the year before and just were the coolest people ever. And they had 2 kids. And I was really hoping to be a really good example for them all summer and show them all that stuff. And then I'm just in their basement all summer. I'd be gone for 2-3 hours a day trying to figure it out and come back in. So that put me in a bad spot. That was actually my third summer was outside of Baltimore. Okay. And I lived in Bel Air, Maryland. We played that song every goddamn time.
This is the story all about how my life kind of turned upside down.
Exactly.
It right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I don't know about you, but I don't know. I feel that was a weird time too, because I definitely tied a lot of my self-worth into my success in Southwestern. Having a not good summer at the end of that summer, I came back and I did so poorly my that semester. I got put on academic probation. Yikes. And I was hardcore oh man, this is I was a 4.0 student in high school too. I'm what am I doing? And it was one of those things where you turn it around and you dig deep, and actually ended up getting a 4.0 my last semester. To be fair, one of those credits was swimming, so that was an easy.
What did you degree in?
I actually have a degree in legal studies and chemistry. Yeah, my goal actually is kind of funny. So
go on.
I went to college. it's actually okay. We'll go back to this too. So it's funny to talk about this dichotomy of people's like mindsets of this make money for myself versus
Yeah.
help the world type idea. Because I went to college with the first one, the hardcore former. Like grew up poor, got to college,
You
got
make
my
money.
and my goal was work for Pfizer. I was going to be a pharmaceutical lawyer. I'm really going to take my knowledge of
Yeah.
chemistry to go work for a chem company or a drug company
Yeah.
and like be a lawyer and do awesome. And it wasn't until I started knocking on doors and really like getting to know people that I felt there was a much bigger purpose than just like making money for myself.
Yeah.
And that really like changed like my whole perspective on a lot of stuff. It also helped too that in 2010, I was in Madison when the Scott Walker recall election happened.
Yeah.
And seeing 20,000 people in my capital, I was like, what are collective bargaining rights? Why are you guys so mad? What's going on? And that kind of woke me up a lot. It's actually funny. That's the time I learned about Bernie Sanders back then. Cause I was like, why is everyone red and blue and he's gray? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
like, why is he independent?
Independent guy. Yeah.
And I started looking at old videos of him. I'm like, this guy's hilarious. Like,
he's so
like,
dope, bro. I knew about him because of his I mean, you're like your timeline is clearly a few years ahead of mine just because of your age. I'm
right.
27 right now. I first learned about Bernie Sanders it was like my second summer. Might have been at any point. It was like at any rate, it was a year before he announced his presidential campaign because he was like talking about his stances on climate change and how this is like the most pressing problem for all future generations and we're pretending like it doesn't exist. So I was just like, I like this guy. And I remember driving around upstate New York, knocking on doors with my Bernie sticker on my Volkswagen. That was a good one. A lot of people liked me for that. So
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, actually, I still remember. I'll never forget. So at the time, I was dating the girl I moved out here with. We like went to like HRC had like Hillary had like a booth or whatever, and I remember talking to her like, yeah, of course I'm gonna vote for. I mean, voted for Obama. Of course I'm gonna vote for Hillary. I still wasn't like super like woke, but I was like, I'm gonna vote for Hillary. I'm like unless like Bernie Sanders runs, and like 2 months later, you remember calling that girl time? I was like, sorry, I'm not. This is not the first woman president. Bernie's the man.
yeah, he's dope. He's a meme right now as of the inauguration with his mittens and his like Burton coat, his ski snowboarding coat. It's awesome. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I sold in Vermont actually.
Nice.
Selling his home state, and I gotta say, all of the people with Bernie decor in front of their house, like yard signs and stuff, were the least friendly.
Really?
All of the Trump people were very easy to talk to, man.
That's funny.
It was cognitive. I was just like, all right, these people are just like, I mean, I never really sold any Trumpers because I was just like, I can't really connect with them on certain philosophical levels. Not like I refused to sell them, but just like the brainwaves weren't there, And
right.
I was expecting the opposite to be the case with the Bernie folk, but they were just curmudgeons. They were just like, I hate you. Get off my property. And I'm like, oh, but I voted for Bernie. Come on. Whatever. Bye.
Oh man, that was
really,
like
political leanings have like in those stark examples like showcased to me that it doesn't fucking matter. It's just like who can you be friends with, who can you be people with, and I'm not gonna care if those angry curmudgeonly Bernie people are who they are. I'm still gonna fight for their rights.
Oh yeah.
Same with Trumpers and everyone else. Think you should be taken care of because we got enough. Got enough, fam.
Yeah. No, it's like it's funny how many you talk about that because I'm sure you probably did this all the time. You're like, oh yeah, this person's gonna buy for sure. Like Johnny and Susie, everyone told me that they're the nicest person. They're gonna like be the coolest. They love education. They always talk to salesmen. Then you catch them right before dinner and they're like, get out of here.
Right. Exactly.
And you're like, what just happened?
Yeah, like full on. Yeah.
You're already counting the units in your head. You're like, oh yeah, right. So I'm gonna get this. I'm set to go.
Man, you're throwing me back to a headspace I didn't want to get back.
Did you count units, by the way? Were you a unit?
Oh yeah, I'm quick at math, so it's like
Same.
I can't even not count units. I would just do it because it preoccupied my brain between doors.
Oh yeah. I'm a hockey goalie, so literally I was so used to counting like my save percentage and
Yep.
calculating it during the game. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
if I make 3 more saves, don't allow a goal, I'll be at 92.7. Like I would do that during the game and I'm chilling down there. So it was just like second nature to count my units.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a really fucky headspace though, as I was talking about, because like what I've gotten into realizing in, further sales gigs is, it's important just to get people something that they need and what they want to meet whatever they need, because at the end of the day, you're going to have more emphatic customers that'll be more likely to refer you to people, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's
no, I
so
mean,
many philosophies on doors in sales, running a business, all the things.
yeah, it's like, but I think it's important to like, I knocked on doors, I sold the books, I made enough money to be able to like, I graduated very little debt. Like I have no student debt now. I'm very proud of that. And
Yeah.
like, it's one of the things where it's like, you know, not everyone should have to do Southwestern to be able to pay off debt, but I think everyone should do it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those things where
Oh
I
yeah.
wish everybody at least took a summer to go out there, just do it. Just do it for summer. You
There's so
shouldn't
many
need,
people that would fail miserably, but like
oh yeah,
if they could just like the right kind of expectations get put on the right kind of people, like those, like my brother, my older brother, he's definitely not able to get out of his shell enough to be like willing to talk with and make friends with new and random people, but he also doesn't even see the value in gaining that skill, and it's like
right.
those people pulling tooth and nail to get them to do something like that. Just, go knock on doors for a week, and just work really hard. And if you don't like it, that's totally fine. You don't have to finish the summer. But I think that every single other person, where it's like they've got goals, they've got ambitions, they've got a dream to run their own business one day, stuff along those lines, it's like you really are shooting yourself in the foot if you don't finish, a summer selling Southwestern. Especially if you start it, you got to finish it. uh, but it's just not everybody gets afforded that opportunity. And maybe it isn't the best for most people, because we've had a couple other episodes where other people talk about other summer internships selling other things door to door, and the more money that you can make there and all this stuff. I'm still hanging out with the Southwestern crew because that's who I know, that's who I trust, that's who I learn the most from and with. And they're the reason why I live here in Colorado. It's a
It's a
big
good
reason why
state.
I travel, is because of having sold books. So
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I credit a lot of post book selling success to book selling. Like, I wouldn't have even like considered knocking on doors and getting into politics if it wasn't for the fact I had already just knocked on doors and did all right at it. Like, and that grew into a career where like, I worked in the Obama campaign in 2012. Actually,
cool.
I actually spent about 2 years traveling the country where I'd like, go to New York for 3 months, go to Boston for 3 months, go to like Minneapolis 3 months, and just like work on a specific campaign. Like I was actually on the call with the Human Rights Campaign the day before DOMA was overturned. Like I was like working on that specific campaign in Minneapolis, and like a lot of that stuff, it opened up doors and honestly taught me a lot about how to like handle the rejection, teach other people how to handle the rejection. Like, um, yeah, it's really, I mean, and then you go into it's funny, there's this video I made one time for my team when I worked at Quicken Loans about like, here's what our team stands for. And it literally was the attitude, work hard, control, just control the controllables. Like,
I wonder how many like organizations have been molded into that because someone from Southwestern just happened in their workspace. Like
yeah,
I never did hours demos attitude. I was more just like, here, let's break down like the stairway to success. You need to work on your hours, your demos, your customers, or your sit downs, and whatever the translated, equivalent is. It's your stats, right? How do you keep track of all your stats? And how do you learn your patterns from your stats? How do you read your behavior, basically? Like I was just like, how do people not do this? They don't keep track of how many conversations they have and the results of them. You know, they're not playing their own game. They just kind of bumble their way through conversations and be like, ah, they so many people are saying this and so many people are saying that. And especially in the telesales setting, like when you have calls being recorded and stuff, it's like, bruh, like you need to be in your stuff, be self-aware, and hone your craft, put in the work,
Yeah. Yeah.
learn that script and practice it, give it back and forth.
Take
All
pride in it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, right.
absolutely. Um, it's so true though. It's like, it's, you never would think that like that one that just signing up for like a random summer internship brings you about all this stuff, but it's
Oh
definitely
yeah.
like all my things. Like check this out. So I have this. That's the sign. So I don't know if you can see it really well, but I have this. You can't, I can't see it. I have this like scar right here. You
Okay.
can kind of tell it out.
A little bit.
So so my buddy Neil, his first day in the book field. And my first day as student manager, we're in outside of Worcester. It's like 110 degrees. It was awful. And I had that Duke Century at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to roll the window down a little bit so it stays a little cooler in here. Let's get to work. And we knock on a bunch of doors, get told no a bunch of times, do the whole thing. It gets about lunchtime. I was like, okay, man, you got this. I'm going to go get my car. We'll eat some lunch. We're good to go. So I go back to the car and I had left my keys not only locked in the car, but in the ignition. So the car was dead. So I was like, I'm a genius. I'm going to take the windshield wiper off, reach my hand into the window and just hit the little thing. Not remembering that there's the blistering hot, like plastic stuff around the outside of the door.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that kind of hurts a little bit. And then my skin just like comes off. And I was like, oh no. So I go I'm like, okay, who was the nicest people we knocked on around here? Because I, again, can't use my phone. Gotta, make sure we teach that rule. So I go and knock these old people's door. And I'm like, hey, I know you don't have any kids, but like, can you help me? And they're like, oh my God, come inside, like dress my wound. Wow. I went and found Neil. I'm like, and he's just like knocking on every door, like no care in the world. But like, so this day, I always have that scar from his first day. And like, we ended up getting the car jumped by another person we talked to that day. Like, and then the best part was like, one of the people told us no right in the morning, said yes later. And it happened to be, like I mentioned earlier, you always find that person early. She was like the head of the PTA. Like that was the mom to have. And that she literally got him so many more sales the rest of the summer. And we had no idea. Like it just, funny things that work out like that. But yeah.
That's awesome, man. Wow. So what I'm kind of curious about here, and I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of running out a little bit of steam. And this has been awesome, though. I love getting to hear, about the fact that you probably worked with people like Zach Reesberg, like this video. He's the one who recruited Hannah, who recruited me, his younger sister. And, there's so many people we could like sift through. I lived with Brandon Q, and his now wife, Amanda. And of course there's Will Metcher. Love that dude. He's over in Portland area now, I think Vancouver, Washington.
Daniel Aguero.
Oh gosh, some amazing people, man. Absolutely amazing people. But I'm kind of curious, do you have like one story to put all the stories to shame because it's like that hilarious, that over the top, that crazy? I think of different things that happened on the book field. Like I caught bird shit when shaking someone's hand. That's a story. That's a hilarious story. Anything crazy like that, or anything even off the doors that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I can't remember his name. He always shares a story when he like sits down in the rain and like almost quit. And like, what's the
Krosky?
Yeah, like I want to share that story actually, because like
your dirt pile story.
Yeah, my dirt pile story. Yeah, there we go. So didn't have my first summer. My first summer, I was like, it's fine. Like I keep losing bikes, but I'm biking up mountains. I'm in great shape. Like I don't care. Like, I'm making money. It's great. Second summer, like I said, I recruited my girlfriend, and she wants to quit hardcore, like week 2, like hardcore.
And she did, right?
Oh, she did, but not without me first fucking myself. So literally, I was like, okay, cool, just shadow. So she goes, okay, we met up and of course had sex in the first 16 seconds of seeing each other.
You didn't like just yourself, bro.
Yeah, just right in the car. Like, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so of course we do that. We go throughout the whole entire day. We have all these conversations. I sell a couple books, but really no, she promised me at the end of the day, like, hey, I'm gonna stick it out. We'll do this thing.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And
Finish
then I
the
wake up
cover.
next day to a text from her that she left. She left at like 4 a.m, just drove. I just left.
Yikes.
And I put it aside the whole entire day, put the blinders on, went to work. And then I think that night I went to pick up Neil, and for some reason he was late. And I just had a breakdown, like legit, like started crying, like, what am I doing? Like, it was the moment I felt like a failure as recruiter because I felt like I couldn't like sell this thing to somebody that I found so valuable and useful and somebody that was so important to me
Yeah.
that like I was like, why am I doing this? It's time to go home. It's time to get over
How
it.
can you
Like,
be convicted in it still?
yeah. And like, it was probably Neil that got me out of it too, because we had this rule in the car about I don't care about the negative stories. Like literally, I had to be like trained like a dog, just make him stop doing it for the first like 2 weeks. I'm like, here's a treat every time you don't talk about something negative. Like,
Right?
but we eventually got over it, and like he just came in and he didn't know anything happened to me. My tears were wiped up, and he just starts like talking about his day and all the things, and like being able to see his like growth. I mean, my dirt pile only lasted a good like hour of me sobbing in the car until he showed up. But
Yeah.
seeing his growth as a few weeks like really kind of like resold me into it and really brought me into like, okay, this is a good thing. I am learning a lot. I am growing a lot. Like I've just started thinking about the person I was, a year before doing this, and like, and even just like the swagger I had going back to college of like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, oh, you partied all summer? I made 20 grand. Like,
Yeah.
like that idea like really kind of honed into me and, really kind of brought me back. And, it's weird because you don't know when it's coming. Like you don't like that whole your dirt pile. Like you're like, you just like, oh, it's never gonna happen to me. Like I actually recently found that letter you write to yourself, for your
Yeah.
first
Oh,
summer. I
that's like
tucked it
an
away.
emotional, yes.
Yeah, I tucked it away in like my like an old wallet, and I found the old wallet, and I was like, oh, what's this? Oh, look at that! Like I still have it, and like,
Yeah.
it's
Special.
yeah. And I never pulled it out. I literally never pulled it out on the book field ever. Never
Yeah.
had
Oh,
to,
right. Right.
but
I remember finding that in my own, like, because I kept all my stuff and I was just like, did I ever use this? I don't even remember writing this, the letter to myself. So yeah, I know what you're saying.
yeah.
It's kind of surreal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it it's also like, once you do that, you can do anything. Like once you kind of get past those moments, like, I've had other bad, dark moments and rough times in my life since then, but it's like you always can tie it back to like, well, I mean, I did something that probably like 0.01% of people could even like do for 2 days. So I feel like if I could do
Right.
anything,
Yeah.
it gets you going. So it's cool. I really appreciate you doing this and letting me kind of talk books a little bit, because
Yeah.
it's been a decade since I've been in the game. And
Crazy, man. It's like 2011 was 10 years ago, not 9. Like your brain wants to tell you, it's 2021.
I know I just broke that dirty 30 last year. It's been a really weird 30 year because I can't do anything, but here we are.
Yeah, right. So if you're ever in Colorado, hit me up, dude. I'm
Where in Colorado are you?
I'm in Highlands Ranch right now, which is South Denver.
Oh, yeah.
I'm planning on maybe getting a spot in the mountains here in the coming months, but we'll see how things shake out. Might be a place downtown, might be somewhere not even here because I'm doing remote solar sales. So
that actually might be a thing. I have a buddy who lives out in Denver, like a good buddy of mine, moved out there like a couple years ago. Also, it's funny. When I worked in the Obama campaign, I was in Boulder for 3 months.
Dude,
yeah.
Oh, nice, isn't it?
I was called the Madison of the Mountains.
Okay.
Go Badgers.
Sure, whatever. I don't care about College Town feels or whatever. Lincoln's cool, but I love the mountains themselves. The mountains are incredible. It's hard to pass up a trip into the mountains. So if you ever make it this way, let me know. This is an open invitation to all my Southwestern viewer friends. If you know me, and if you don't know me, we'll talk first, and then you can come hang out. But yeah. We've got a few episodes lined up. We've got one on Sunday here in the next few days. We're going to have Elena Arendt ready for her episode. And then we've also got Fido in the next week or two. And we've got a few others that are just coming. So anybody who wants to hop on, do what Cordell did and any of these other guests, and just reach out and we'll get you on an episode and talk about all your crazy stories. So
awesome.
All right. Thanks for sharing everything. It's been a pleasure, and wish you the best, man. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah, enjoy.
All
Enjoy the
right.
rest of your night, Nick.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you
you.
have a good one. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.